GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action.
Good night, Montreal.
Quebec Provincial Police announced Tuesday that they had dismantled a covert laboratory operating in Montreal that manufactured counterfeit passports and birth certificates. The raid, carried out earlier this month, resulted in the seizure of printing equipment, forged documents, and computer files linking the operation to a broader criminal network. The investigation, which spanned several months, relied on surveillance, financial analysis, and coordination with federal law enforcement partners. Investigators said the lab had been supplying fake identity papers to individuals seeking to evade immigration controls and other legal requirements. Police officials confirmed that all suspects were taken into custody and that the facility has been permanently shut down to prevent further production of fraudulent documents. The operation underscores law enforcement's focus on disrupting document fraud, a crime that can facilitate a range of illegal activities.
Moviegoers are lining up outside Scotiabank Theatre as the venue reactivates its IMAX 17 projector for the latest Christopher Nolan release. The theater, Quebec's only 17 IMAX screen, has not run the massive film format since 2014, and the revival is drawing enthusiastic crowds. Fans cite the rare visual experience and Nolan's reputation for spectacle as the main pull. The theater joins a select group of 41 locations worldwide capable of showing 17 IMAX, making tonight's screenings a unique event for local cinephiles. Organizers say the line stretches down the block, with people of all ages eager to witness the film as it was intended on the grand screen. The queue often stretches beyond the main entrance, with some patrons arriving hours early to secure a seat. The excitement continues throughout the evening as each showing fills the auditorium.
Gas prices in Quebec have surged to nearly $2 per liter in Montreal, Canadian fuel experts say, as tensions in the Middle East and elsewhere continue to tighten global markets. In February, the average pump price hovered around $150 per liter, but repeated hikes have pushed the cost upward each month. Analysts point to the ongoing geopolitical unrest as the primary catalyst, noting that supply disruptions and higher crude costs are feeding through to Canadian stations. The rise marks a steep climb of roughly $0.50 per liter over the past 5 months, putting pressure on drivers and businesses alike. Many commuters report spending an extra $10 each week at the pump, straining household budgets. Officials have not indicated immediate relief, and the trend is expected to persist as long as the overseas conflicts remain unresolved.
Mayor Soria Martinez Ferrada voiced serious reservations Thursday about ARECOR Energy's proposal to place tidal turbines in the St. Lawrence River just off the Old Port. The mayor said she is not convinced the project aligns with the city's priorities and questioned its relevance to local needs. ARECOR plans to start installing the hydrolians in 2027, pending municipal approval. Ferrada emphasized the need for a thorough review of environmental impacts and community benefits before any construction begins. The city will hold a public consultation later this year to assess the proposal's feasibility and to gather input from residents and experts. Officials from ARECOR are expected to present detailed studies at that meeting, while the mayor's office indicated that approval will hinge on meeting strict environmental and economic criteria. The decision will shape future renewable projects along the island's waterfront.
The Quebec government confirmed that its captive caribou program welcomed 16 newborn fawns in May, adding new individuals to the managed herd. The births represent the latest boost to a conservation effort aimed at preserving the species, which has faced declining numbers in the wild. Officials said the fawns were the result of a carefully monitored breeding program that seeks to maintain genetic diversity and provide a safety net for future reintroduction. The captive herd housed at facilities across the province now includes the additional 16 animals, strengthening the overall population count. Researchers will continue to track the young caribou as they mature, evaluating health and growth metrics to inform ongoing conservation strategies. The development marks a positive step for Quebec's wildlife preservation agenda. The program, which has operated for several years, remains a key component of the province's broader biodiversity plan.
Later, we'll hear how a 21-year-old was stopped after hitting 208 kilometers per hour on the Laval Highway. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Welcome back, everyone. That was a quick break. Stay tuned for the latest updates. Now let's turn to Rachel Reid for what's happening locally.
Quebec Provincial Police say they intercepted a 21-year-old driver traveling at 208 kilometers per hour on a highway in Laval, a suburb north of Montreal, on July 21. Officers observed the vehicle exceeding the posted speed limit of 100 kilometers per hour and initiated a stop. The measured speed was 108 kilometers per hour above the legal limit, more than double the usual maximum on Quebec highways. The driver was taken into custody at the scene. Police have not released the individual's name or details about the vehicle involved. The Sûreté du Québec confirmed the stop and recorded the event as a serious traffic violation. The Sûreté du Québec, the province's police service, oversees traffic enforcement across Quebec's road network. The incident occurred on a major thoroughfare in Laval, reflecting the province's ongoing enforcement of speed regulations.
Premier Tony Wakeham of Newfoundland and Labrador and Premier Christine Frechette of Quebec are convening in Prince Edward Island today to negotiate a new agreement on the Churchill Falls hydroelectric facility. The meeting aims to replace the decades-old power pact that currently supplies a large share of Quebec's electricity. Officials say the window to finalize a revised memorandum of understanding is closing, prompting urgent talks. If a fresh deal is reached, it could reshape the flow of cheap, reliable power to households across the province, potentially affecting rates and supply stability. The two leaders will discuss terms for the sale and further development of the Labrador-based plant, seeking a framework that balances revenue for Newfoundland and Labrador with long-term energy security for Quebec. The outcome is expected to be reported later this week.
The Quebec Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Food has launched a recall of lean ground beef that was packaged on July 8 and sold at the Marché Atlas on 4265 Jean Talon Street East in St. Leonard. MAPAQ says the product may present a health risk, prompting the agency to act under its standard recall procedures. The recall remains ongoing, with the ministry monitoring distribution and advising that any remaining packages be removed from household freezers. The Marché Atlas has posted signage at its entrance and is working with inspectors to ensure the affected beef is taken off the shelves. Consumers who purchase the beef are being asked to retain their receipts as proof of purchase while the investigation continues. This action follows MAPAQ's routine practice of withdrawing foods that could jeopardize public safety, reinforcing the province's commitment to food safety oversight.
Environment Canada issued a severe thunderstorm watch for multiple regions across the province earlier this morning, warning of intense rain and heightened flood risk. By early evening, the agency lifted the watch for the majority of those areas, concluding that the immediate threat had passed. The brief alert prompted residents to secure outdoor belongings, check drainage systems, and stay informed about possible flash flooding. Meteorologists noted that the short-lived system produced brief downpours capable of overwhelming local waterways, especially in low-lying neighborhoods. While the watch remains active in a few northern districts, the lifted watch covered areas such as the Laurentians, the Eastern Townships, and the Greater Montreal Corridor, leaving only remote northern valleys under the original alert. The lifted status for most of the province means normal activities can resume without heightened concern. Authorities continue to monitor conditions, urging anyone experiencing sudden water rise to follow official updates.
Quebec is in the midst of its most severe spruce budworm outbreak in 5 decades. Forestry officials report that the insect has already damaged roughly 17.6 million hectares of forest, a scale never seen since the early 70s. The infestation, which spreads by defoliating spruce and fir trees, is progressing across the province's boreal and mixed woodlands, threatening timber supplies and the health of ecosystems that many residents rely on for recreation and hunting. Historically, Quebec experiences periodic budworm cycles, but this surge has expanded far beyond typical limits, prompting the Provincial Ministry of Forests to mobilize additional aerial pesticide treatments and increased monitoring. Scientists warn that without intensified control measures, the damage could persist for several years, further compromising forest regeneration and the economic stability of communities dependent on logging.
Now, let's turn to the weather team for a quick look at tonight's conditions across the island.
A deepening low and southerly jet are flattening the ridge, leaving Montreal in a humid, unsettled night. On this date, Montreal's all-time high reached 31.1 degrees Celsius in 2018, a blistering spike that rode the tail of a historic heat dome across the province. The record low of 13.7 degrees Celsius fell in 2025, when an Arctic blast slipped south behind a stalled front, plunging the city into an unseasonal chill. By contrast, today's climatological normal hovers around 23 degrees high and 19 degrees low, underscoring how today sits comfortably between those extremes. The live radar shows a clean swath of clear air over southern Quebec, with no echoes marching toward the island. With the low-pressure system still aloft but the jet stream pushing briskly from the south, the air mass remains stable and dry. That explains the quiet screen as we move through the night. I'll now shift focus to the overnight outlook. At 11 p.m. Montreal sits under an overcast sky, 20 degrees Celsius, humidity near 88%, and a low-pressure area that is falling. The southerly jet overhead streams at roughly 102 kilometers per hour, injecting moisture and keeping the air mass unsettled. Winds are blowing 15 kilometers per hour from the southeast, gusting up to 38, so it feels breezy. The UV index reads 4, though the sun has already set. No precipitation is expected through the night, and there are no active alerts. As the low drifts eastward, pressure will begin to rise after sunrise, allowing temperatures to climb to 27 degrees by midday before slipping back to 19 tonight. Looking ahead, Wednesday will break the weekend's calm with a high of 20 degrees and a low of 12, all under clear skies as the ridge rebuilds. Thursday remains bright, 23 degrees high and 13 low, the jet still aloft but weakening, allowing sunshine to dominate. Friday warms to 25 degrees with a low of 17, the lingering moisture from the southerly flow keeping clouds thin. Saturday introduces overcast conditions, 28 degrees high and 18 low, as the low-pressure system finally slides northward, thickening the cloud deck. Sunday caps the week with a clear sky, 29 degrees high and 18 low, as high pressure settles in and temperatures peak. And that's your weather. Remember, the wrap is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
Up next, traffic updates, a look at today's events, plus the latest on the Habs opening season. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
And now here's Jason with sports.
NHL news hitting close to home for Canadiens fans tonight. Mark your calendars, Habs fans. Montreal opens the 2026-27 NHL season on the road against the Toronto Maple Leafs on September 29th. According to CBC Sports, opening night features a pair of all-Canadian matchups, with Edmonton hosting Vancouver rounding out the slate. A chapter has closed in Montreal. The Canadiens traded longtime forward Brendan Gallagher to the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for future considerations, according to CBC Sports. Gallagher spent over a decade with the organization and became one of the most recognizable faces in Habs history. A long chapter in Montreal Canadiens history has closed. The Habs dealt veteran forward Brendan Gallagher to the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for future considerations. CBC Sports reported the transaction, which sends one of the franchise's most recognizable names out of Montreal.
On a crisp Saturday afternoon in the historic St. Laurent neighborhood, the sound of cleats on the grass at staid Percival Brauch echoed through the block. Families gathered on folding chairs, kids perched on parents' laps, and the scent of fresh poutine wafted from a nearby food truck. At the center of it all stood Marie-Yasmin Aladou, her jersey emblazoned with the rose-gold crest of the Montreal Roses, a smile bright enough to rival the early summer sun. Aladou, who grew up sprinting down these same streets with a battered soccer ball, left Montreal years ago to chase professional opportunities abroad. Tonight, she slipped the ball between two defenders and delivered a decisive pass that set up the winning goal in the Roses. First home victory of the season. The crowd erupted, and a little girl in a pink scarf rushed forward, shouting, "You're home, Marie-Yasmin." The moment captured more than a point on the scoreboard. It marked the return of a hometown hero to the field where her dreams first took shape. It's a reminder that sometimes the best chapters begin where the story started.
On a Saturday morning on the western edge of Montreal's Ahuntsic-Cartierville borough, the fire prevention crew from SOPFEU gathered at the St. Louis Fire Tower. The team, led by veteran firefighter Marie-Claude Bouchard, was there to review the latest seasonal report, a routine that now feels like a celebration. After a summer when wildfires sparked across the province, the agency announced that incidents this year have dropped to a fraction of the usual count, a decline measured in the low single digits. Bouchard lifted a log, the blackened bark a reminder of the fires that once threatened the pine corridor. She then pointed to a new sapling just a few feet tall, already rooted beside the tower, a symbol of the forest's quiet recovery. Children from a nearby school waved from the trail, their faces lit by the early sun, as the team explained how community vigilance and early detection have turned the tide. The moment the sapling was planted, the crowd's applause echoed through the trees, underscoring how collective care can restore even the most vulnerable landscape. It's a reminder that when we protect our forests together, they have room to heal.
Thank you, Montreal, for joining us on the wrap. Tonight's highlight was the police raid that shut down a fake document lab, a reminder that safety matters. We appreciate your trust and look forward to bringing you more stories tomorrow. Stay tuned, stay curious, and have a great evening.